You use these every single day, but you've probably never seen how they're actually made. From raw materials to finished products, this is how everyday items are made inside factories. You've used this your entire life, but you've probably never seen how it's made. This is how matches are made. It starts with a massive log rolling into a saw. First, the bark is stripped away. Then the log is sliced into long, paper-thin wooden sheets. Those sheets are fed into a machine that cuts them into thousands of tiny sticks, perfectly even, perfectly identical. Next, the sticks are poured into a vibrating machine. It shakes and aligns them so every match stands in the correct position, no hands. Now comes the most important part. The tips are dipped into a chemical mixture that allows the match to ignite. This step has to be exact. After drying, the matches move to another machine. Boxes arrive from one side, matches from the other, and just like that, something so small that starts fire begins with a single tree. You kick this all the time, but you've never seen how it's made. Each panel is painted white, one by one. These shapes will later control how the ball flies, spins, and feels when it's kicked. Once the paint dries, the panels are glued together into two half spheres. At this point, it still looks fragile, nowhere near a real football. Inside the factory, raw rubber is processed through multiple machines. It's heated, stretched, and refined until it becomes elastic and strong. A small air valve is added next. This is where the ball will later be inflated. The rubber is then pumped with air and placed into a press, forming a tight inner bladder. This bladder is what gives the ball its bounce. Next, the bladder is wrapped in long strands of white string-like material. This layer controls the ball's shape, tension, and durability. Now the inner core is placed into one of the half spheres. Glue is applied carefully along the edges. The second half sphere is placed on top. You kick it for 90 minutes, but it takes precision engineering to make it feel perfect. Instant noodles are often called junk food, but the noodles themselves aren't the problem. They start with wheat flour, water, and salt. The dough is mixed, then rolled again and again by machines. This strengthens the gluten and gives the noodles their chewy texture. Next, the dough is cut into long strands and shaped into waves. That wavy shape helps heat spread evenly and makes the noodles rehydrate faster. The noodles are then steamed to fully cook them. After that, they're quickly dried, removing almost all moisture. And here's the key part. With no moisture, bacteria can't grow. That's why instant noodles last so long without preservatives. So where does the bad reputation come from? Mostly from the seasoning packet, which is often high in salt. The noodles themselves are just wheat and water. Add an egg, vegetables, or your own seasoning, and they become a balanced meal. This entire machine exists for one thing: mango ice cream. Inside the factory, ripe mangoes are processed and turned into a smooth mango puree. The puree is pumped into large stainless steel tanks, where milk, cream, and sugar are added. Everything is mixed at high speed to make sure the flavor stays perfectly even. The mixture is then gently heated. This removes bacteria and helps the ice cream stay smooth and stable. After cooling, it flows into powerful freezing machines that constantly stir the mix while it freezes. This process adds air, which makes the ice cream light, creamy, and soft. Once it reaches the perfect consistency, the mango ice cream is filled into containers, sealed, frozen solid, and prepared for delivery to stores. That's how mango ice cream is made, at factory scale. This doesn't look like a golf ball, but it becomes one. Golf balls start as massive blocks of synthetic rubber and resin. These blocks are pressed under extreme pressure to remove air and create a dense, uniform material. The solid block is then sliced into thick slabs and cut again into smaller pieces. Each piece is carefully measured because even a small weight difference changes how the ball flies. Those pieces are placed into molds and compressed into perfect spheres. This core is the engine of the golf ball. It controls speed, compression, and energy transfer. Next, the cores are coated with additional layers. These layers affect spin and control, especially when the ball is hit at high speed. After that, the outer shell is molded in two halves. This is where the famous dimples are formed. They aren't random. Every dimple is engineered to reduce air resistance and keep the ball stable in flight. The two halves are fused together, then cooled and polished until the surface is perfectly smooth. Before packaging, each ball is inspected, weighed, and tested. If it's even slightly off balance, it's rejected. You hit it in seconds, but it takes precision engineering to make it fly. $10 million worth of Parmesan cheese. It all starts in giant tanks filled with milk. The milk is heated until it turns into a thick yellow mixture. That mixture is broken into tiny pieces, which slowly come together to form one large mass of cheese. The mass is collected in claws and lifted out of the tank, forming huge wheels. Next, the wheels are placed into molds to shape them, then lowered into salt baths where they stay for 22 days. After that, the wheels are moved into temperature-controlled rooms to mature for at least 12 months. Each wheel is carefully inspected, and only about 3% are good enough to be called Parmigiano Reggiano. These look simple, but the way tennis balls are made is way more complex than you think. It starts with raw rubber, which is pressed flat and cut into pieces. Those pieces are placed into molds and pressed into perfect rubber half shells. A small hole is made in each half, and the inside is treated with a special compound. Two halves are aligned, sealed together, and pressed to form a complete ball. The ball is then dipped in glue, preparing it for the outer layer. Felt panels are wrapped around the ball, pressed tightly and shaped into that iconic tennis ball look. After drying and final checks, the logo is added. And that pressure inside is why every tennis ball feels exactly the same. You eat this almost every day, but you probably have no idea how chocolate is actually made. Chocolate starts on trees, with cacao pods growing in hot climates. Inside each pod are cacao beans, covered in a sweet white pulp. The beans are taken out and left to ferment for several days. This step is what creates the real chocolate flavor. After fermenting, the beans are dried under the sun, then roasted at high heat to deepen the taste. Once roasted, the shells are removed, and the beans are crushed into cacao nibs. These nibs are ground until they turn into a thick liquid. This is pure melted chocolate. Sugar and milk are added, the chocolate is refined and tempered for that smooth texture. Finally, it's poured into molds, cooled down, and becomes the chocolate you eat today. And now you know what was hiding behind every bite. See this lollipop right here? This starts as a sticky, colorful mess. First, hot melted candy goo is poured straight onto a metal table. It's bright, glossy, and extremely hot. Then they sprinkle in sugar to control flavor and texture. Next, the candy goes to a rolling machine. It stretches and folds the mixture over and over, trapping tiny air bubbles inside. That's what gives lollipops their lighter color and smooth bite. Now comes the stripe. A white candy layer is added on top. Then everything gets rolled together into one long candy rope. That rope moves into another machine that cuts, shapes, and presses each piece into a perfect circle and inserts the stick at the exact same time. Finally, the lollipops are wrapped in plastic, sealed, and sent out. From sticky syrup to a perfect lollipop.
You use soap every day, but this is how soap is actually made. It starts with a thick soap-like base as liquid color is poured in and mixed evenly. The colored soap mixture is then fed into a machine that presses it out into long, continuous strands. These strands are smooth, uniform, and ready to be shaped. Next, the strands are cut into solid blocks, all the same size and weight. Precision here is key. Every bar needs to be identical. The blocks are then moved to a press, where they're stamped into their final shape and design. This step gives the soap its familiar look. Finally, the finished bars are wrapped, packaged, and prepared for shipping.